She held her newborn baby in her arms, looked into those tiny, innocent eyes.
Why did the gold chest go to school?
Because it wanted to be a little brighter in class.
And then walked to the bridge, not to show her child to the river, but to throw her into it.
Why do the birds sing at dawn? Because they are celebrating the arrival of a new day and all the beautiful possibilities that come with it.
What kind of mother does that? What kind of monster walks away from a crying infant in freezing water just to win a box of gold? But here is the part that will shake you to your soul. That baby girl did not die. She survived. She grew up. And 20 years later, she came back, not for revenge, but to heal the very woman who tried to kill her. Stay with me, my people, because this story will wreck you, and then it will restore you. Before we begin, if you are new to this channel, welcome home. This is Tales by RM, where every story we tell is a mirror. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell, and stay until the very end. Because this one will stay with you. In the heart of Umunede, a village where the red earth hummed with old stories and the trees grew tall like the ancestors themselves, there lived a man of great wealth and greater pride. His name was Chief Ikem. Now, Chief Ikem had everything a man in that village could want: land, cattle, respect, 4 wives who honored him. But there was one thing, one single thing that gnawed at him every morning he woke up. He had no son. 4 wives, 4 healthy pregnancies, and not one baby boy to carry his name forward. In that village, in that time, a man without a son felt like a tree without roots. Strong on the surface, but hollow where it mattered most. So one evening, Chief Ikem called all 4 of his wives together. He sat in his great chair, the one carved from mahogany, and he looked at each woman slowly. Then he spoke. Listen to me carefully. The first among you who gives me a baby boy will be crowned the Lolo of this compound, the head wife, the honored one, and I will give her. He reached beside his chair and placed a heavy chest on the table. This box, filled with gold and jewels worth more than most men earn in a lifetime. The room went quiet. 3 of the wives exchanged glances, hopeful, nervous, humbled by the weight of the promise. But the 4th wife, the youngest one, she did not exchange glances. She just stared at that box. Her name was Adaogo, and from the moment those words left the chief's lips, something dark and hungry woke up inside of her. She wanted that title, she wanted that gold, and she would do anything to get it. Now, as fate would have it, Adaogo was already with child, and for months she carried herself like the title was already hers. Walking with her chin high, eating the best food, accepting gifts. She had already decided in her mind that she was the Lolo. She just needed the boy to prove it. But life does not always follow the plans of the greedy. When the day finally came and the baby entered the world, it was a girl. A healthy, beautiful, crying baby girl. And for one single moment, Adaogo looked at her daughter. Looked at those tiny fingers, that small red face, that innocent life she had carried for 9 months. And something cold passed over her eyes. Because all she could see was the box of gold she was losing. That night, while the village slept,
night, and the crickets sang their blind songs in the dark, Adaogo rose from her bed. She wrapped her newborn daughter in a cloth, not to comfort her, not to feed her, but to silence her forever. She walked through the dark paths of the village, past the sleeping houses, past the old mango tree where the children played, past the shrine of the ancestors, until she reached the bridge, the one that hung over the fast-moving river. She stood there for a moment. The baby was crying softly. That tiny sound, that precious, helpless sound should have stopped her. It should have cracked something open in her chest and brought her back to herself. But greed is the deadliest deaf ear a human being can grow. And so Adaogo lifted her daughter over the railing of that bridge and let go. She walked home, cleaned her hands, arranged her wrapper, and began to scream. Evil spirits came in the night and stole my baby boy. They took him. My son is gone. The village erupted. People rushed out of their houses. The chief tore his agbada in grief. Diviners were called. Sacrifices were made. The whole village mourned a baby boy that never existed. And Adaogo wept the loudest, wept with those dry, practiced, hollow tears, the kind that come from a person who has confused performance with feeling. The village consoled her. Even the other wives held her and prayed for her. They did not know they were holding a woman who had just murdered her own child.
But Adaogo was not done. With the first obstacle out of the way, she turned her attention to the other wives. Because you see, even if she staged the best performance in the village, she could not be Lolo while others could still deliver a son. The competition had to end. The second wife began to fall sick not long after. Strange illness, no cause anyone could find. The whispers, the food Adaogo brought her had a bitterness that no one tasted until it was too late. The third wife was driven away by fear. Adaogo whispered dark omens, placed strange things at her door, told her the compound was cursed for her and her children. She packed in the night and never came back. And the first wife, the eldest, the most respected, Adaogo went to the chief with lies so carefully sewn that they looked like truth, accused her of things that made the chief's blood boil. The old woman was banished before she could defend herself. One by one, gone. And then there was only Adaogo standing in the middle of the compound like a queen on a throne built from bones. The chief, grieving and alone, crowned her Lolo, placed the title around her neck like a necklace, and gave her the box, the gold, the jewels, everything he promised. And Adaogo held that box close to her chest and smiled the smile of a woman who believed she had won. She did not know that God had been watching every step. But my people, the river had its own plans, because there are some lives that God Himself refuses to let the world swallow. Some souls arrive on this earth wrapped in purpose, and even ice and darkness and a mother's cruelty cannot extinguish them. Far down the river, past the bends and the rocks and the whispering reeds, a woman was washing clothes in the early morning light. Her name was Nelma, a poor woman, a lonely woman, the kind of woman the village barely notices. No husband, no children, just her hands and her labor and the river. And then she heard something, faint, barely there, but unmistakably alive. She waded into the water, cold, rushing, dark, and she pulled from the current a tiny bundle. A baby girl, blue from the cold, fighting for breath, but alive. Nelma held that baby to her chest so hard you would think she was trying to breathe life into her through her own heartbeat. She ran back to her small hut, wrapped the child in everything warm she owned, prayed over her through the night, begged God to let this one stay. And by morning, the baby opened her eyes. Nelma named her Mesoma. It means good thing, because that is exactly what she was.
Mesoma grew up loved, not with gold or jewels or compound titles, but with the kind of love that feeds a child's spirit, steady, warm, unashamed, unconditional. Nelma walked her fingers raw so Mesoma could eat. She told her stories by firelight. She wiped her tears when the village children were cruel. She was not her birth mother, but she was every other kind of mother there is. As Mesoma grew, something unusual revealed itself. She had a gift. When she mixed the herbs that grew by the river banks with the water she drew at dawn, people healed. Fevers broke, wounds closed, old pains dissolved. Word spread slowly at first, then quickly, down one river village, then the next. The healer from the riverside, the woman with the gentle hands and the gifts from the water. Mesoma? She did not know where she came from. She did not know her birth mother's name. She did not know about the bridge or the gold or the lie that was told in her name. She only knew this river, this woman who raised her, this gift in her hands. And that was enough. For now, my people, if this story is holding you right now, good. That means your spirit recognizes truth when it hears it. Make sure you are subscribed to Tales by RM. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. And don't you dare leave, because the part that will shake you is still coming. 20 years passed. 20 years of silence and gold and stolen peace. Hidalgo had lived well, feasted well, slept well. The way people sometimes do when they have buried their guilt so deep, they forget it is still breathing. But God does not forget. And guilt, my people, guilt always finds a way to the surface. It started with a rash on her arm, small, dismissible. Then it spread to her neck, her face, her chest. And then it began to rot. Her skin, the skin she had oiled and pampered as Lolo of the compound, began to peel and blacken and weep. The smell drove people away from her. No medicine man could name it. No herbalist could cure it. Even the chief could not stand to be near her for long. Doctors came from far towns. Diviners came with cowries and kola. Priests came with prayers. Nothing worked. Nothing. And then someone told the chief about a healer down the river. A young woman known for curing what no one else could touch. A woman who walked with water and herbs and whose hands had never failed the sick. Her name was Mesoma. And the chief, desperate for his wife, sent word immediately. The day Mesoma arrived at the chief's compound, the whole village came out to watch. She walked with quiet confidence, a wooden bowl in her hands, the water inside calm and clear. Her face open, composed, kind. She had no idea what this place was, no idea what this woman meant to her story. They brought her to Hidalgo, and the moment Mesoma entered that room, she stopped. Not from fear, but from something strange she could not name. A pull, a recognition, like her blood knew something her mind did not.
She knelt beside the sick woman, dipped her hands in the healing water,
and poured it gently over Adaogo's wounds. The water touched skin and sizzled, not like healing, like burning. Adaogo screamed, a scream like a woman being torn open from the inside, because the water, Mesoma's healing water, only works on the pure, on the good, on those whose hearts are clean. And for the wicked, it burns like fire on old sin. Through the pain, through the screaming, Adaogo looked up at the young woman's face, and she saw it. The cheekbones, the eyes, the shape of the jaw. It was her own face. Younger, softer, kinder, but hers. She was looking at the daughter she had thrown away, and something inside Adaogo broke. 20 years of buried guilt came tearing upward like a flood through cracked earth. She grabbed the chief's cloth. She turned to face him with those rotting, weeping eyes, desperate, and she confessed, "I lied. I lied to all of you. I did not give birth to a boy. I had a girl, and I took her to the bridge. I threw her into the river because I wanted the gold. I wanted to be Lulu. I wanted to be first, and I threw away my own child to get it. God forgive me." The room went so silent, you could hear the heartbreak in the air. The chief stood there, still as stone, his eyes moving from Adaogo to Mesoma, from the woman who destroyed to the woman who survived.
The chief did not shout. He did not weep loudly. A broken man does not always make noise. Sometimes he just goes quiet in a way that is louder than screaming. He looked at Adaogo, the woman he had honored, crowned and trusted, and he disowned her. "You are not my wife." That was all he said. 4 words, but they carried the weight of 20 years. Adaogo turned to Mesoma then, dragging herself across the floor, her skin crumbling, her breath ragged. Crying, "Heal me," she begged. "I am your mother. I gave birth to you. Heal me. Please. You cannot let me die. I am your blood. Heal me." Mesoma looked down at her, not with hatred, not with rage, but with a calm that only comes from a person who has already found peace in their own story. She spoke softly, firm. "You did not raise me. You did not name me. You did not hold me when I was sick or wipe my tears or pray over me through the night. You threw me into a river to die so you could have a box of gold. You are not my mother. My mother is the woman who pulled me from that river, the woman who went hungry so I could eat, the one who loved me before she even knew my name." And with that, Mesoma rose, picked up her bowl, and walked out of that compound with her head held high. She did not look back. The sickness did not release Adaogo. Day by day, it consumed her, until one morning, it was over. And when she was gone, they took her body to the bad forest, where the village sends the ones who died in disgrace. No ceremony, no song, no tears. Just the red earth and the silence and the weight of what she chose.
The chief called for Mesoma. He stood before her with all the elders gathered, and he said, "You are my daughter. You are the rightful heir of this compound. Everything I have belongs to you." And he placed the box of gold, that same box, the one Adaogo had killed for, into Mesoma's hands. Mesoma looked at it, turned it over in her hands, felt the weight of everything it had cost. And then she did something that made every elder in that compound fall into a long, reverent silence. She gave it away, all of it, to the poor of the village, to the widows and the sick, and the ones the world had ignored. Every coin, every jewel, gone to the people who needed it most. And then Nisoma turned and she walked back down the river path, back to the small hut, back to the woman waiting by the water, back to Nelma, her mother, her real mother, the one who chose her when the world had already thrown her away. And if you ask me, my people, that is where the story truly ends. Not with a crown, not with gold, not with revenge, but with a daughter going home. Because the greatest inheritance any of us can receive is not what is put in our hands. It is the love that was never taken from us, even when everything else was. Even when everything else was. And that, my people, is the story of the child she threw away. If this story moved you, if it cracked something open in your chest, then let it. That means it did what it was meant to do. Share this video with someone who needs to hear about the power of real love today. Subscribe to Tales by RM if you haven't already. Hit that bell so you never miss a story. We have so many more tales to tell. And until next time, take care of the people who chose you. They are the ones who matter most.